Have you ever walked into an airport feeling calm, confident, completely normal, and somehow ended up being stared at, followed, questioned, or quietly pulled aside like you did something wrong without even knowing why? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Most travelers never hear out loud. Airports don't just watch what you carry. They watch how you behave, and sometimes the smallest. Most innocent habits you think are harmless are the exact things that flip a mental switch in someone's head, and suddenly, you're no longer just another passenger. You're interesting. And once that label sticks, everything changes, and it happens fast. Faster than you'd expect, because airports are pressure cookers. Tight timelines, strict rules, and silent judgments everywhere. And behavior matters more than people realize. So let's talk about the habits that instantly make you look suspicious, even when you swear you've done nothing wrong. Starting with the way you rush, because rushing isn't just about being late. It's about energy, frantic movement, darting eyes, fast walking, heavy breathing, gripping your bag like it's about to disappear. And when someone rushes too hard, too urgently, especially without a clear reason, like a boarding announcement, it sends a silent signal that something's off. And then there's the opposite problem too. Moving way too slow, lagging behind, hesitating, stopping and starting like you're unsure where you're going, which can look like someone trying to avoid something or someone. And avoidance is a key word in airport psychology. And speaking of psychology, constantly checking your phone while walking through security doesn't make you look busy or important. It makes you look distracted, disconnected, and oddly nervous. Because trained eyes see repeated phone checking as reassurance behavior, the same kind people do when they're anxious. And anxiety is not illegal, but it is noticeable, and noticeable is enough. Then there's the habit of over-organizing your bag right before screening, pulling things out, stuffing things back in, rearranging pockets while standing in line, which feels responsible to you but looks rehearsed to them, like you're managing something you're worried about. And that small moment alone has gotten people flagged more times than most travelers would ever believe. And let's not ignore eye contact, because too much eye contact looks confrontational, too little looks evasive. And finding that invisible middle ground is something most people mess up without realizing, especially when stress kicks in. And stress always kicks in at airports. It's almost unavoidable. And then there's the smile, the forced smile. The overly polite smile that stays frozen on your face like a mask, which doesn't come off as friendly. It comes off as performative, like you're trying to control the interaction too carefully. And control is another quiet trigger. And yes, even the way you dress plays into this more than anyone wants to admit. Because clothing that's wildly mismatched to the environment, like heavy coats in warm terminals or layers that don't make situational sense, can raise silent questions not because it's wrong, but because it's unusual, and unusual always gets noticed in places built around routine. And routine is everything in airports. And then there's one habit almost nobody talks about: hovering. Standing just a little too close to security areas without moving forward, lingering near gates you're not assigned to, waiting around baggage belts that aren't yours, and you might think you're just killing time. But hovering looks like observation, and observation looks like intent. And intent is what security is trained to detect even when there's no clear violation. And let's talk about conversations, because whispering intensely, especially while glancing around, even if you're just discussing dinner plans, creates a visual narrative that doesn't work in your favor. And narratives matter more than facts in the first few seconds of judgment. And yes, even silence can work against you, because refusing small talk, giving one-word answers, or sounding overly rehearsed when asked simple questions like, "Where are you flying today?" can feel safe to you, but robotic answers feel off. And being too perfect can be just as suspicious as being messy. And here's one that surprises almost everyone: touching your face repeatedly, rubbing your neck, adjusting your collar, wiping your hands on your pants. These are unconscious stress behaviors, and while they're normal human reactions, they are also classic indicators of nervousness. And nervousness without context invites attention, and attention is what you don't want. And then there's the habit of arguing small rules, questioning procedures, making jokes about security, even light ones, even sarcastic ones, because humor doesn't always translate under pressure. And what you meant as harmless can land as deflection or challenge. And airports are not the place to test tone. And finally, One of the biggest mistakes people make without realizing it is trying too hard to look innocent. Because innocence doesn't announce itself. It exists quietly. And when someone overcorrects their behavior, straightens up suddenly, changes posture when they notice eyes on them, lowers their voice unnaturally, or starts acting normal on command, it sends the clearest signal of all, self-awareness under scrutiny. And once that happens, you can't undo it. Because airports run on patterns, not intentions. And the truth is, none of these habits mean you're doing anything wrong. Not legally, not morally, not even socially most of the time. But airports aren't designed for comfort. They're designed for flow, compliance, and predictability. And the moment you break pattern, even accidentally, you become a point of interest. And that doesn't make you guilty, it just makes you visible. And visibility is what changes your entire airport experience in ways no boarding pass ever warns you about. Which is why the smartest travelers aren't the loudest, the fastest, or the most prepared. They're the ones who blend, who move with the rhythm of the terminal, who answer naturally, pause normally, breathe normally, and let the process happen without trying to control it. Because the less you try to manage how you're perceived, the safer you actually appear. And once you understand that, airports stop feeling like traps and start feeling like systems you can move through smoothly, quietly, confidently, without ever being that passenger. And that difference alone can change how every future trip begins and ends, whether you realize it or not.